The rain had started just as Sophie stepped off the main street, drawn by a flicker of gold lettering on a shop window that hadn't been there yesterday. Elder & Sons Antiquities. Rare, timeless, one of a kind. The window was dusty, but the inside glowed with warm lamplight, shelves stacked with forgotten trinkets and time-worn furniture. Sophie hesitated, then pushed open the heavy wooden door. A small bell chimed overhead. The smell hit her first: old books, wax polish, and something like faded roses. "Hello," she called, stepping inside. No answer. She wandered through aisles of glass cases and velvet-draped tables. The place was silent, the kind of silence that felt aware. Like it was listening. And then she saw it. A portrait leaning against the wall in a crooked gold frame. Oil on canvas, about 3 feet tall. A woman with pale skin and deep brown eyes. Eyes that looked exactly like Sophie's. The shape of the jaw. The slight tilt of the head. Even the same mole above her lip. She stared, uneasy. The woman in the portrait looked to be in her mid-30s. Sophie was 26. And yet, there was a pull, like the painting remembered her. She reached for the tag hanging from the frame. Unclaimed, 1871. That was all. Something whispered in her gut, leave it. But curiosity pulled harder.
2 days later, the portrait hung in her apartment now, above the fireplace. Her roommate Meg called it hauntingly beautiful, but Sophie had started avoiding the living room altogether. The dreams had begun. Always the same. Cobblestone streets glowing under gaslight, the creak of carriage wheels, the smell of coal smoke and lilacs. Sophie walked in a black dress, lace gloves on her hands. Around her, blurred faces in old-fashioned clothes. But always, at the edge of the crowd, a man watched. Tall, dressed in a long gray coat, a black top hat, his face never visible, just a sharp grin beneath the brim. Every night, he moved closer, and every time he spoke, it chilled her awake. You were mine once.
Research and rot. At first, Sophie tried to rationalize it. Maybe the portrait was a distant relative. She took photos, ran them through facial recognition databases. Nothing. She called the shop, no listing. The street it had been on, empty lot now. She went back. Where Elder & Sons had been just 3 days ago, she found a burnt-out husk of a building, long since collapsed in on itself. Blackened beams jutted like bones. A rusted plaque near the sidewalk confirmed it. This site, former location of Elder & Sons Antiquities. Destroyed in a fire, March 1892. No known survivors. Her blood went cold. That wasn't possible. She stood there for an hour, trying to remember anything about the man who sold it to her. But there was no one. She'd been alone. No receipt. No record. The journal. That night the dreams shifted. Sophie no longer just watched the city. She was in it. Of it. She knew the street names. Could smell the perfume she wore. Could feel the weight of the locket at her throat. And in the dream she knew his name too. Edmund Vale. He had once been her fiancé. A painter. Charismatic. Brilliant. But there had been something else. Something she couldn't recall. Only feel. A sense of danger. A memory behind a locked door. She woke up gasping and found herself holding something she didn't go to sleep with. A small, cracked, leather-bound book. It was a journal. Her handwriting. The first page dated October 3rd, 1870. I fear what Edmund has become. The portraits he paints no longer resemble life. They drink something from me. A piece of me. The final night. She returned to the ruins of Elder & Sons. The sun was going down. She brought the portrait, wrapped in cloth, and a can of gasoline. As she walked across the blackened floorboards, the air grew heavy, electric, like the atmosphere before a storm. She unwrapped the portrait. The painted version of her blinked. Then it spoke. You came back to me. The voice was a whisper and a scream all at once. Sophie dropped the canvas and backed away. The air bent. Figures began to flicker into the shadows around her. Hundreds of them. Pale, still, with hollow eyes. He painted us all. Her hands shook as she poured the gasoline. Edmund's voice echoed from the walls. We were eternal together, Sophie. Why leave now? She struck the match. The flame roared. The portrait twisted, mouth opening into a soundless scream as the canvas cracked and bubbled. The ground shook. The building groaned. But the flames consumed it all. She ran, never looked back. 1 year later, Sophie moved far away. The dream stopped. The portrait was gone. But sometimes in the reflection of old windows or antique mirrors, she swears she sees a tall man in a dark coat watching, and behind her eyes in the quietest moments, she can still smell roses and coal smoke.